how confident are we for tomorrow? First, and the second thing is, what were the main points of discussion when the batters were coming out? After this whistle, that what kind of is there some more challenging on the wicket or the bowlers? What specifically they were doing? What kind of a conversation the other guys were having? And firstly, then are you are you happy with the score, especially knowing that the ball was almost throughout to his somewhere?
Yeah, I think that score is a pretty fair day. It was challenging for the batting group with the starting and stopping. I think the fact that the partnership's all sort of 20, 30, 40, 20, 30 is indicative of the surface. There's a lot of good balls out there. And if we can push that close to 300, we think that's a very good score. I mean, obviously with the rain breaks, the messaging is about switching back on, which is difficult to do, and you almost got to start again every time. But I thought the guys by and large, did very well today.
Second the back.
What's the messaging to the players coming on off the field?
Yes. What were they talking about the wicket?
Yeah, look, the wicket obviously started a bit slow. But the main thing is, to mentally be able to switch back on as soon as you go back out there. The stop-starts are disruptive for the batters. You're obviously trying to get some rhythm. But, we knew they would come hard in that first session, and with the rain, they get to start again, so to speak, and then they're pretty fresh. So just switching on. Actually, I thought Sai played really nicely. There's obviously two really good balls in that last spell from Josh Tongue. But yeah, we're pretty happy with 205 for 6, whatever it is.
Coach, Captain said yesterday that Colin Mora's participation in the game would be taken for tossing conditions. Considering what was cleaned out today, what was the chat and what he played?
I think it's quite a complex issue around Bumrah. We obviously want to wheel him out, but we also want to respect where his body's at. And on the basis of that, we just felt that it wasn't worth including him in the squad. He has bowled a large number of overs. I know it doesn't always seem like that because he's only played 3 tests and he only bowled in 1 innings in Manchester. But if you look at the loads, he's bowled a lot of overs. And like he did say, coming into the tour, he was going to be available for 3 games. And we just felt it was right to honour that call.
Coach, you always maintained that Karma is a pretty good return, like people back to him. But given the stage of his career where he is, how important is this knock and what kind of conversation think you have after Manchester, especially when Nisham was not available? But that number 5 was very important.
Yeah, look, Karen's been asked to do a tough job on the tour. Start off at 6 in the first test and then batted at 3 for the other 2 tests. And I always said, and we always thought that his tempo and his rhythm was very good. He's a quality player, particularly for that reason. He can absorb the pressure. So going in today at a different position again, I thought he summed up the conditions really well. Look, when someone comes back into the test side like he does after a lengthy absence, the pressure's always there. And I think he's handled that very well. But you could probably say the same about someone like Dhruv. And I think when you're representing a country like India, you don't expect it easy. And the guys are attuned to going there and dealing with the pressure. And hats off to Karan. I think he's had a really good tour without blowing the lights out. But he's given himself a chance now tomorrow to get a big, meaningful score for the team.
Yeah, but just an extension of the last question is very Schumann was in one of the previous press conferences. He said that in the first test match, Karun did not bat at his probably preferred position. Then again, we have seen him bat twice at number 3 and number 3. Again, he's batting at number 5. So how difficult it is for someone, like you said, that he's coming back into test cricket after a long time and under these difficult circumstances. How tough do you think is it for a player also mentally, technically also, how to adjust to different conditions according to the flexibility of the team?
It's not ideal, and you can see we're always trying to put the guys in their most favoured position. But with the batting unit we've brought on tour, sometimes you have to make adjustments. I'd say today probably suited him quite well given the conditions. Walking in when he did, it's not too dissimilar to what a 3 or 4, which is his preferred position, would walk into. And I think it's a feather in his cap that he is so versatile. I thought 6 was a big ask. 6 is very different to 5, 4, 3. And given the way the wicket played and how early he got to the crease today, I think it actually suited him nicely. But he's never complained. The messaging's always the same. It's the team that comes first. What job can you do for the team? And he just cracks on with it. And like everyone else, he just wants to give his best and play as much test cricket as he can.
Last day, yeah.
Ryan, how frustrating is it that you're in the form batter also tapping the team? Gets himself in and that turns himself out.
conditions such as this?
I'm assuming not as frustrating as it is for him. He's in the touch of his life again today. He made batting look really easy for the 40 minutes or whatever he was out there. But these mistakes do happen. England actually bowled nicely in that little spell, and one of the things we did speak about in the breaks is how well we were accumulating, because it didn't look easy to hit boundaries there. And I thought all the batters today accumulated really well around the stumps. So I guess it's getting that balance right of trying to keep the pressure on the bowlers and the fielders and taking the runs where you can. But that's a misjudgment of a run, and I think given what he's done in the first 4 tests, we'll let him get away with that one.
Brad, just for the conditions, from the outside, it seems like this already could be a good score, but you will be better equipped to tell us because you would know what to expect from this pitch tomorrow and day after. Do you is the moment expected to die down anytime soon, which might not make it look as good as it seems to be right now? And the other thing is, just as a batter, facing somebody like Josh Dunn who can kind of spin the ball around and then come on with balls that are bordering on the unplayable. He's bowled 4 or 5 such balls in the series. How's that?
Yeah, look, I think when you set out for a tour of England, you expect conditions closer to this than what we've seen in the first 4 tests. How do I think conditions will play out over the next 4 days? I think it's got a lot to do with the overhead conditions. If it stays cloudy, I think the ball will continue to do what it's done. I think the bowlers' landings were quite tricky today as well. I thought all the England bowlers struggled with that, and that's maybe why you saw some inconsistency. But actually makes it very challenging when someone bowls like Josh did today. He's a very good bowler when you don't know what's coming down as a batter, and he's bowled a couple of absolute jaffers in there and got 2 big wickets. It does make it tough. But for us, hopefully it stays the same. I think if you get the ball in the right area, and like I said about the partnerships, you never feel like you're in there. There's always a good ball around the corner. And I don't think it's going to go absolutely flat. I don't think there's going to be a massive change in conditions. But hopefully it stays as close as what it was today.
Brian, you were just talking about the complex case of Google. Now, your wing spacer makes himself available only for 3 test matches in a series. And now, with the conditions pretty much the best for a bowler. So for a think tank, how hard is it to you have your best bowler, can only play 3 matches, and how you go about managing the difficulty from the team managers?
Yeah, every time I've answered this question, I've spoken about putting the pieces of the puzzles together, and guys were baffled when we didn't play him in the third test, sorry. And our thinking, was that the Oval, yes, it's got bounce, but it's normally a fairly good wicket for batting on, and we thought we'd roll the dice in Manchester, where obviously if we'd won the toss, we would have bowled. In hindsight, you would have loved to have had him here. But you would also have said if we come here 3-1 down that we didn't use him there. So it's trying to not guess, but trying to look into the future and then try to see how we can manage him. And maybe England have got it spot on, leaving the best bowling wicket for the last test after he's played 3.
Final question.
Ryan, just an extension of that. Managing Cobra is different, but how do you manage the bowlers around him? Now, Prasidh Krishna misses a game, he comes back into the 11. Arshdeep and Kuldeep were on the bench for 5 tests. Abhimanyu Ishwaran remains on the bench for 10 tests. How do you manage that in the dressing room when the players are consistently not playing and there's a player who's picking and choosing games and others around have to fall in line? So how tricky is that a situation to deal with?
Look, I don't think picking and choosing is a fair comment to Bums. He did say he was going to play 3 games. He left it up to us which 3 he played. We've tried to manage the situation. It's not ideal. I guess giving those guys attention, the guys who aren't playing, particularly when you're carrying 18, is important. Make them know that you're making all the decisions in good faith in the best interest of the team. And just on that, all the guys who haven't played, they've been fantastic. They've trained the house down. They're disappointed when they get left out. They don't let it show when they're around the group. And that's very important to creating a good culture for the guys who are playing to perform it.